Hello and welcome to Italian Cuisine at Central Arizona College. I'm Chef Acedo. Today we'll be preparing grilled vegetable lasagna using our marinara that we prepared last week. We will also be preparing bruschetta with olive tapenade and tomato basil. I picked some vegetables out of my garden, the last of the winter crop, today for our grilled vegetable lasagna. I'm going to start with bell peppers, by cutting them this way you end up with less waste. I love that. I'm also going to be including zucchini, I like to cut them lengthwise using a very sharp knife. I'm also going to be using some ripe tomatoes. Tomatoes on the grill, of course, will cook very quickly, so I'll put them on the top rack. I have my vegetables cut here, and I put them in a small insert pan. I'm going to dress them with a little bit of olive oil, which will be perfect for grilling. Fresh cracked pepper. And I happen to have sea salt, roasted garlic mixture that I'm going to sprinkle on them as well. Okay, now another vegetable item we're going to use today are portobello mushrooms. A little bit expensive, but really worth the trouble. First thing we got to do is remove the gills. I just like to use a regular teaspoon. Make sure you get as much of it out as you can. The gills tend to be somewhat bitter. And then that's ready to go on the grill. A couple more, and then I'll meet you at the grill. Here we are at the grill. I have the grill at a fairly hot temperature. High temperature grilling is probably best for this application. I'm just going to place my vegetables neatly. I like to arrange them by their type. A little bit of olive oil. It might cause a little bit of flame up, but not to worry. The tomatoes we talked about earlier will be on the top shelf. They don't take nearly as long as the rest. I have some beautiful yellow bell peppers from the garden as well. That's pretty much it for the winter garden. A generous helping of salt and pepper should take care of it. Okay, let's check our vegetables. I've turned them once. These look really nice. We don't want to overcook. For instance, this piece is really small, really thin. So I'm going to remove that immediately because we still have 45 minutes in the oven. Our tomatoes are just perfect. And our portobello mushroom, I'm going to give it one more half turn. And then we'll take them inside and prepare to assemble our grilled vegetable lasagna. Okay, I went ahead and chilled our vegetables slightly. If you take a look at the top of the stove, I have everything we need to assemble, as well as our sauce from last week. I'm going to steam some spinach. I have water boiling. A lot of spinach turns into not very much. You'll be pretty astonished at how small it gets. We'll give that a few minutes, and then I have our grated cheese. In the center, I'm going to be using fresh mozzarella, which is different from the hard grated mozzarella, just because I don't like ricotta cheese. So I have some already pre-sliced here. I'm going to be putting that in the center. So first thing we want to do is Put some olive oil at the bottom of our pan. Olive oil is really essential to so many things in Italian cuisine. I'm just going to brush. I've already prepared our noodles, standard dry noodles from the supermarket. I went ahead and shocked them so they're cool, pliable, and ready to use. So let me just remove the water. Okay, I think we're ready. Okay, the first thing I start with are the noodles, perfectly cooked. If they're slightly undercooked, that's good too. When I do this in class, we use a type of noodle that is quite hard and raw, but they're a special type of noodle where you can do that, and just by them being in the oven with liquids, they get soft. But for this particular application, I'm going to use the traditional noodles. I'm going to put a layer of sauce. I blended it very, very smooth. Very smooth. Now we can put let's put a little bit of cheese first. I'm going to try to get 3 layers in here. There we go, there's our cheese. Now I can start arranging our vegetables. No particular order, as long as the entire layer is completely covered before we add another layer of noodle. Okay, that looks good. A little more sauce. Let's check our spinach. Ready. I'm just going to turn that off. Really just a matter of a couple of minutes. Look at all that spinach turned into only that. This is a neat little attachment for steaming. If you just drop them in boiling water, that would really do the same thing. I'm going to save my spinach for the middle layer. Okay, next I'm going to add another layer of noodle. If they're a little wet, I have a paper towel here. I can dab them off a little bit. Okay. Is it important to cover every square inch? Not really. Okay, we have that. Let's put a little more sauce. Sauce is really kind of like the glue, if you will. A little more cheese. Just a little, because I'm going to put my fresh mozzarella. What happens if I do this out of order? Nothing. It's going to be just fine. Okay, fresh mozzarella. Another row of vegetable. Look at these beautiful portobello mushrooms. Bell peppers. Yellow peppers, the last of my yellow peppers. Zucchini. Okay, just pat it down a bit and get ready for that final layer that will go on top. 3 layers of noodle. Last thing, we've put our last layer of noodle. Now 1 more layer of sauce. I think it's kind of important to have 3 layers of noodle and 2 layers of veg. It seems to work out well. Okay. I am going to put 1 more layer of cheese on top. And a little bit of Italian seasoning. Very top Italian seasoning is a mixture of basil, thyme, garlic, probably some pepper, and we're ready to wrap with foil and put into the oven. Now that I finished my last layer, I decided to put my spinach on the very top with some more cheese on top. Now I'm going to wrap with foil. I like to use a little bit of spray, nonstick spray for the top. I have had instances where the foil stuck to the cheese, and we don't want to waste any of our cheese. Now I'm ready to go into the oven. Preheated to 350. I like to use the top rack. Takes about 45 to 50 minutes. Bruschetta, an accompaniment to the vegetable lasagna. It can be used as an appetizer or to go along with. So I have my baguette here. I'm just going to slice it at an extreme angle. I'll be toasting these in the oven. Before I put them in the oven, I'm going to want to make a compound butter using a little bit of garlic and a little bit of Italian seasoning. I have softened butter that's been sitting on the counter for probably a good 45 minutes. So I'll dress each one. We'll put them into the oven, toast, about 5 minutes on a 350 oven. And then after that, I'll show you how to make the tapenade. Olive tapenade, I have these beautiful Greek olives that I'm going to put into the food processor. A little bit of chopped garlic. We do not need salt. Olives are extremely salty, but we do need a little dab of wonderful extra virgin olive oil. You can hand chop these if you don't have a food processor. And there we have it. Crostini should be ready to do our bruschetta. I'll let those cool slightly. And we have another topping to do as well. I have some fresh chopped tomato, a little bit of garlic, fresh chopped garlic, and I am going to add fresh ground pepper. I have some sea salt and a little bit of fresh basil chiffonade. Chiffonade, of course, is the very tiny strips of fresh basil. Doing it a la minute like this will ensure its fresh and wonderful flavor. I'm just going to throw that in, give it a stir. And then we'll be ready to assemble. Time to assemble the bruschetta. The tomato and fresh basil garlic with my beautiful extra virgin olive oil. Simply make sort of an open-faced sandwich, if you will. And arrange them on a beautiful platter. Here's the luxurious Greek olive tapenade. I also put some fresh chopped parsley from the garden. There we have. Do another one. This will make a great side appetizer dish before sitting down to the table and having our lasagna. Caprese salad. Caprese salad is traditionally sliced tomatoes, heirlooms if you have them, fresh mozzarella, I happened to purchase this variety that was pre-sliced. A bit of luck. Garlic will be infused into the dressing. Let me start with that next. Okay, 2-to-1 ratio of vinegar and oil. Let's start with a little bit of vinegar. I'm going to use some fresh garlic, fresh cracked pepper, just a dab of Italian seasoning. Little dab will do you. A little bit of salt. And the most important ingredient is to emulsify. In other words, to make it so that the oil and vinegar don't separate. Just a little bit of Dijon. Now, since this processor doesn't have a hole in the lid, I'm going to have to add the oil. I'm sure it'll be fine. The mustard is really what keeps it all together. Let's try it. Yes, that looks just fine. So, assembling our salad. I have some romaine hearts. I'm going to add a little bit of our emulsified vinaigrette. Give it a toss. Arrange our sliced tomatoes and mozzarella attractively. That's probably plenty for one serving. Place a little bit of dressed romaine. And I like to add a little bit of garnish. Some of my beautiful imported Greek olives. And a little chiffonade of fresh basil. A little bit of salt and pepper. And there you have caprese salad. Let's check the lasagna. It's been for about 50 minutes. Piping hot. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. Time to unveil the lasagna. It's been cooling for a short time. I pre-cut it, hoping that everything stays together, and yes, I think we're just fine. I'm going to finish it off with a little bit of our leftover sauce. And there we have it. Vegetable lasagna.